my name's Max. I have a condition called cold urticaria, and that means that I'm allergic to the cold. Oh, what's that? You know all about it? You think you have it too? Cool. Here's what you should do about it. I am not a doctor. I am not your doctor. Please take this video with a sensible pinch of salt. I am not diagnosing you. If you agree with everything in this video, still not a formal diagnosis. But I do support self-diagnosis as a temporary measure so you can, live. Let's start off with the symptoms. Cold urticaria goes way beyond an urticarial rash. So some of these symptoms you might not have heard of. Some of them might click like a light switch and you'll be like, oh my god, that's why. The most basic and obvious is hives on exposure to cold. That can be cold air, it can be a cold object, it can be ice, it could be cold water, it could be anything cold coming on the skin and then you get a rash. Hives vary massively in their appearance, their presentation, their duration, their itchiness, so try not to compare to others because just because others will have big, angry, itchy hives, that doesn't make yours less valid. Another symptom is itchiness on exposure to cold, so you might not get the hives, but oh man, will you be itchy. Symptom number 3 is headaches on exposure to cold, and I want to talk about this one just a little bit more in depth. So for example, if I walk into wind, so the wind is blowing into my face and it's cold, you best believe that I will have a horrible sinus headache. I have talked about face pain before. Turns out that's a sinus headache. Headache when you are in a cold room or if you put your face in cold water. Basically, if you are exposed generally to a cold environment, that could be a symptom for you. Another thing that I get specifically is ear pain. So there's a canal that I walk by and sometimes I have to walk by it in winter because cat sitting jobs. And the wind blowing off of the actual water is always so cold. And by the time I get to the other side of where I need to be, my ears are so painful because everything in there has swollen up in a reaction to the cold. And oh man, it's painful. And it does not help with the whole deafness thing because they swell up and then things don't work and then I'm just extra deaf. Another symptom could be low blood pressure in cold environments. This could present as dizziness and fainting and just feeling a little bit lightheaded, which moves on to my next point of fainting. Fainting from cold urticaria is quite rare, but it happens. If you have low blood pressure because of a reaction to cold, low blood pressure can easily cause fainting. I faint from low blood pressure all the time, but it's not cold urticaria related usually. The reason I faint from cold urticaria is because I wheeze too much and I run out of air. So another symptom for you could be breathing in cold air makes you wheeze. It might cause itching on the inside. Can't think of the word of that. It might make your throat itch a bit. It might make your tongue swell up if it's really cold and you breathe through your mouth. And it might just feel tight. It might just cause chest pain. There are so many ways cold air can present as symptoms when you breathe it in. But it's something to think about. Cold urticaria can cause tachycardia. It is a part of anaphylactic shock, mostly, but any sort of allergic reaction has the potential to cause tachycardia, but you might not notice. If you ingest cold things, your lips might swell up, your tongue might swell up, they might just itch, they might feel a bit funny, they might tingle. All of those things could be caused by cold urticaria. Swelling of hands when you hold cold things. So if I go outside without gloves on, they might not necessarily get hives all over them, but what they do is they go very bright red, very purple, which in some people can be a totally normal thing, in some people it could be Raynaud's, but this is a different thing. This is something I really want other people to understand, because when I say I'm allergic to cold and they say, oh, Raynaud's, no. They swell up and they itch so much, and the reason it's different to Raynaud's is because it's not a circulation issue. It is an actual immune response releasing histamine and all of the things that cause the symptoms. I have talked about that more in the science of cold urticaria in Allergy Awareness Week this year, if you want to know more about that. And of course, I've already mentioned it, but I'll say it again, anaphylactic shock. Some people with cold urticaria can go into anaphylactic shock from cold exposure. This is more likely from if you swim in a cold lake, full body exposure, cold showers, cold baths, and not just from a contact. Or if a doctor decides to not believe you and put a cold IV in you, and then you can go into anaphylactic shock from that too, and he learnt a valuable lesson. Obviously, I am not speaking for every person with cold urticaria, but that is what the science and all of the medical papers and websites and doctors that I've spoken to have said. So, you have all these symptoms and you want to know whether it's definitely the cold, because maybe it was just something in the water, maybe it was something on your skin. Maybe you just need the validation. So one of the most widely recommended home tests from doctors, and pretty much whenever you Google, do I have cold urticaria, they will tell you to do this. However, there's a caveat to this. If short-term cold exposure causes any symptom that really worries you, don't do this. If you know that it's just going to be a bit of an itch and some hives, go ahead. Having something bad happen to you from this test is very, 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 very unlikely. That being said, ice cube test. I'm going to do this for you right now, but something to be mindful of is that 15% of people with cold urticaria have a negative result to the ice cube test. I do have a reference for this, it's down below in the description, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Another thing that is worth noting, this pertains to me personally right now, is I took my antihistamines this morning because I do every morning, and it wasn't worth coming off them for 3 days to do this test, so this might turn out to be a negative, who knows. This is for my education as well as yours, but I'm going to demonstrate it anyway. Moving on, so the ice cube test. Here is my ice cube. Ooh. This test is good for if you want to have evidence to take to the doctors, because it's a rare condition and not all doctors will even believe you. Dismissive doctors suck. So what you want to do is you want to get your ice cube. I don't even want to touch this with my hands because it's going to hurt. Right, hold on. Pick a piece of skin. I'm going to pick a non-tattooed piece. Actually no, we are going to go here. And we're just going to leave that for 5 minutes. No matter what the result of this test that you do for yourself, if you still think you have cold urticaria, follow my next steps. So, you've done the test, you've got your results, now what? Go and see a doctor or a pharmacist or a medical professional. I'm in the UK, so I'm very fortunate to have access to free healthcare, even though I've had issues with it in the past, and the present, but you'll see. Popping to my GP, my general practitioner, which is also known as a primary care practitioner, physician? Not sure. Whoever's your first point of call medically, go there. Me popping to my doctor for a check-in to discuss this is absolutely no problem at all. And if you're also in the UK, that's what I suggest that you do. It could probably be done in a telephone consultation, but some doctors will want to see photos and evidence, and they might want to have you in for blood tests or their own ice cube test. Some doctor surgeries even have a temperature control test thing, and it's hard to describe because I've not had it, but it's when they have like a, sorry I'm holding the ice cube with my fingernails so I can't do a demonstration, but it's like a band or like a metal thing, and it changes temperature and they'll see what happens at different temperatures and whether you get hives at cold temperatures. So some might want to do that. They can advise on antihistamines and treatment plans and symptom management and all sorts of things, and also put it in your notes for future medical practitioners to be aware of. They can advise medically based on your needs, which is the most important thing, because your body is yours. Your doctor can also refer you to a specialist clinic who might be able to help you more. So I had to go to my GP to get the referral to my allergist. I got my referral in early 2019 and I received my appointment in early 2020. So it will be a while and your GP will still help you through that process. If getting to a doctor is not possible right now, go and see a pharmacist. Pop into any pharmacy, If you already have a pharmacy that you use for repeat medication, do that. They'll know you a bit better, they'll have your medication on record. But all pharmacists should be able to advise you if you know what medication you take. They can advise you on different over-the-counter medication that you can take, which doesn't need a doctor's note or a prescription to buy. You just buy it and try it and see what happens. This can be helpful if either your doctors are dismissive and they've just told you to go take something over the counter or won't give you a prescription, but it's also really helpful if you can't get to a doctor in time and you have to wait for ages. It's worth noting that the antihistamine that I take, called fexofenadine, is available over the counter in places that aren't the UK, under the brand name of Allegra. So that's what to do for your next steps. It's been 5 minutes and I've just taken the ice cube off of my hand. So when you take the ice cube off, the hives appearance might not be instant. It might take up to 10 minutes for hives and itchiness and symptoms to present themselves. So I'm going to wait for some minutes. While we're talking about access to healthcare, I support the self-diagnosis of cold urticaria because, number one, it is relatively harmless to either us as a community and you as a patient for you to diagnose this. It is a temporary solution, and I want to make that absolutely clear, because you could easily have an there are so many causes of cold urticaria, and you could have an underlying condition. It's very important that you do eventually try and pursue some sort of formal diagnosis and further testing or just medical opinion, because underlying conditions can be much harsher. They can be much worse and much more dangerous than cold urticaria itself. And if you struggle with things like anaphylactic shock, EpiPens need a prescription. There is always the argument that you might have diagnosed yourself wrong and you might not have cold urticaria. But doctors get things wrong too. I was misdiagnosed as having fibromyalgia when in fact I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Doctors get things wrong all the time. Just because maybe if you do get something wrong, that doesn't make you a terrible person. It doesn't make you more wrong than a doctor would have been. Just obviously be careful with it. Knowing the cause of knowing the cause of your symptoms is always a bonus, and that's why self-diagnosis is only a temporary solution. But having that label gives you access to trying treatments, and especially over-the-counter treatments, or getting advice from a pharmacist. Going saying, hey, I think I have cold urticaria, I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment, but what can you recommend to treat hives? That is beyond helpful, because they can give you that advice. And if you need accommodations or anything in the workplace, out in life, you might need a professional diagnosis and the paperwork that comes with it to prove your condition so you can get those accommodations. So it's been a few minutes, it hurts a lot, and I know putting ice on you doesn't feel good normally, because I did that before. Like, you know when you're in school and you're about 12 years old and you're just like, let's hold an ice cube. Or you sprain yourself and you put the ice pack on without protection on it. Yeah, I've done that. This is not that. I don't know how else to explain it. You're just going to have to trust me. And if you do actually have cold urticaria and you've just tried that test, you'll know what I mean. So what's next? You have your label. You have something to go to the doctors with. Now what? Well, depending on what route you've just taken, follow treatment. If you've been advised to take antihistamines, take your antihistamines. If you have seen a doctor and they've advised you to avoid cold, maybe they've advised you to wear a mask, maybe they've given you an inhaler and an EpiPen, follow those treatments. And then join some communities. So there's loads of Facebook groups for cold urticaria. There is a couple of hashtags on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to my channel. There are pages on Facebook, there are Reddit threads, I think there is even TikToks about it. Any social media platform that you're on, go and find your community, because we share tips, we share tricks. I have a whole playlist about cold urticaria. That will be linked at the end of this video. And just check out our stuff. I'm gonna go and warm my wrist up because, ow. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment down below if I have missed anything, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Videos go up every Saturday at 6 PM UK time with at least one bonus video every single month. See ya!